Wellington, can you
Yes.
tell me about your country of birth, St Kitts, and the village you came from, and some of your childhood experiences?
Well, I was born in Sadler's Village, St Kitts, and I grew up all my life in St Kitts. The school I've been to is by the name of Bethel School, which was quite good there, you know. And to further on, after leaving school, I got a job at the sugar factory. And I was what you call, was training to be a mason. So they started me off in the building, the sugar factory building. My foreman at the time was Mr. Sutton, and his co was Mr. Brooks. And I got through there all right. But then after, most of the friends and people who I know was heading off for England. I don't know what was going on, but I says, well, it must be something good over there. So I says, well, I think I'll take a trip, try and get a trip. Well, as the time goes by, I eventually got a trip, and that trip was on what we call by sea, the Sorrento. That's the name of the ship, and it was quite good. I seasick a couple of times, and I says, well, all right, then let's hope we'll be okay. Some good friend or neighbor gave me a bottle of brandy to bring to someone here in England, and I had to drink it. I drank all of it, more or less, not one time, but because the trip was 17 days on sea, I sip by sip. When I got to England, the lady knows that I was bringing it, and she asks, where's my brandy? So I says, well, unfortunately, it gets smashed, you know, and I lost it by the bottle break. And after that, she says, all right, anyway, one good thing, you reach safe, but me didn't have my brandy. Yeah. So after getting into England, I stayed with a friend who is no longer my friend anymore because of his character and his attitude, what's been happening here, getting into trouble. I mean, at my age now, I'm 86 years of age, never been into any trouble. Well, as you might have heard or known, I was racing in St Kitts. That was part of my sports anyway.
Okay. So we'll talk a bit about that. That'd be great. What can you tell me about the village you came from, Sadler's? And
Well, my village, as you know, St Kitts is only a small place, so you know everybody in that at that time in Sadler's, and we spend most of the time in the mountains. You know, we had what you call, we cultivate cane, sugar cane, and then further up in the mountain we plant, we potato, yam, and cassava, and had more of the vegetable. But the cane land, which we call the cane land, the sugar cane plantation, that was strictly for cane. But sometimes we get a piece of the land, and we cultivate it into whatever we would like to. But it's mainly sugar cane. We go there.
So Wellington, I understand that you was known as Duke. So
Yeah.
Can you explain Why that word?
Well, Duke almost, it's a name that was given to me, a nickname we call it. It was given to me by friends. And it originated from Wellington, the Duke of Canada. You know, so they used to sing, Wellington, the Duke of Canada, the captain of the USA. And when they all shout for liberty, we all will know him well. So it started from when I was a kid up, you know, giving Wellington the Duke. That's where it originate from.
So, how did you get into cycling then?
Well, then it's I always says I would like to be a good cyclist. But how it all started, I used to have a cycle. It had it's the bicycle, nothing like this one here, and had no, half the time you have no tire on, just the bare wheel, practicing here and there. And I used to do well on it, you know, ride around the pasture and all these things. But then after, when I decided to move forward, I got a job after leaving school. I got a job at the sugar factory, as I was saying, and that's where I actually started out on the bike. I wasn't promoted by anyone at the time. It was just me trying to get on. And to get to the sugar factory, it's about 20 miles from where I was living. So I got to get there at mornings to start my shift. And it take me some time before I could have get the rail bike or my own transport. So what I did, I used to travel by a truck, pay a certain amount weekly on the truck, in the truck. And by doing that, I have to start working and getting a small pay, you know, which wasn't much. Has to give my mother something out of it. I was only working for about $6 to $7 at that time. I gave my mom something out of that, and I keep some to pay for my Marby and all them things at mornings. Then after getting at the sugar factory and start saving a little money, I managed to buy an ordinary bike, nothing as a racer, just an ordinary bike. And I used to race alongside the trucks going into town. And after I realized I could do well with a racing bike, and I managed to get a racing bike, but it wasn't really up to standard. So I had to be very good to keep up with the other boys, them and everything. But then, for me to improve now to where I was, I had to get my training from Saddlers to Bastia, the sugar factory, which is about 20-25 miles. That's every morning and evenings back to my home. But then I find myself racing amongst the guys who was pretty better than me, and I get myself in action with them. So at the same time, I says, well, I want to be up the top. Well, I had getting into what you call farm performance with them, I was to do a lot of training, And my training used to be, even though I ride from Saddlers to the sugar factory, from the sugar factory back to my home, I still used to go to the seaside and run on the sun, do a lot of exercise, which helped me. Then after the racing on the tracks around Warner Park, I says, well, I want to be like those boys. So I start getting some training with them. And I find myself was getting on very good, you know. And they used to say, come on, Duke, now I know you can make it. And I went on training for a period of time. And I find myself was getting up, getting on. And after that, I find myself as getting on top. And I keep going. And from I keep going, I find myself winning races, you know. All the races that I goes into, I'm coming first, which I had the pictures to show and a certificate, and I was highly recognized around. They had guys who was pretty good, but I end up beating them, and that's what count. Well, they says, well, the Antiguans, they'll come down from Antigua. The Nevisian, they come down. The Martinique, yeah. And there was another country which came down when we have the races. We have the races on August Monday, Whit Monday, and Easter. Those are the period of time which we have the races. And even then, I managed to beat them. And they came first, which was very good. And you find that I was getting a lot of support. You know.
Wellington, that's brilliant. So after all that dedication, all that training you did and commitment, you became the Eastern Caribbean cycling champion?
Yes, at that time, definitely.
What year was that?
It's about 57, 58. Yeah, around that, those days. And those was the time when the races come about.
Right, so...
It was really good and interested, you know. I mean, I trained very hard, you know, early mornings, late at evenings, you know, and find myself was improving. And therefore says, well, I'm not going to look back and make sure go forward, which I did. And you had other guys, a lot of criticism and everything, you know, when other village have their guys who is racing and they wanted to make sure that their people or their race come get in front of me, you know, but they stand no chance really. It was good.
Yeah, because you was totally dedicated and focused on...
Yes, because I know where I wanted to get, you know. But I used to race alongside the trucks going down. They wasn't that fast, you know, in those days because they well loaded up. And when we get into a steep hill, we know, well, the truck can change into different gears, or you will hold on at the back of the truck until I reach to the top of the hill, you know, and I'll ride behind that truck straight into past there. You know, it was quite good. Yeah, it was a good outings for me, you know, those days.
So you achieved what you wanted to achieve in relation to cycling.
Cycling, that's right, yeah.
And where did you take it from there? 'Cause
Well, funny enough, I was hoping I might get a chance to travel on the racing, but our association, they didn't have enough money, because when they sent me to, they decided to send me, I was that good, they decided to send me to Barbados. And I went to Barbados there, and also Antigua. But I had to go on my own, because by right it should have been about 3 or even 2 of us then. Because what is happening when I'm holding the lead, like I'm going in front all the time, and you find that you need to have somebody else to back up. You know, you ease back and let he goes up, and then we do that in turns. I didn't have that. I had to do everything myself. But in Antigua, I came second, in spite of all those races. And also I had, when I went on to Barbados now, then it was another challenge for me, because you had people from different countries, Jamaica and all, it comes in, but they comes in 3s, 2s, and you know, I'm on my own. So it was very hard for me, you know.
Well, being a cyclist myself, I understand how good you must have been to get to where you got to, because as you say, you were on your own, you didn't have anybody you could go in front of, you could draft on.
Yeah.
You had to just do all that work yourself.
Yourself, that's right.
So that's an amazing achievement there, Wellington.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at some point then you immigrated to England.
Yeah, well, when I came to England, I decided I want to carry on. But my condition and position, start having kids, 4 of them, and it meant that I had, I got a job here, the IMI, just behind us, with all this ground here, and there used to be a club there where we do some training, but not on bike, you know, talk about the racings and everything. But then after a while, I decided, I said, well, I'll try it over here. So I started, and not for very long. There's a Cocoa Bridge, just somewhere around here, Cocoa Bridge, yeah, there was a racetrack there. I used to practice there. But then I find I wouldn't get much play there, because the people who is racing, they are getting our support because they has people to sponsor them. And I had nobody to sponsor me. And I'm having 4 children to look after, and I love my children. And I says, well, I got to hold on to my job. I was only an ordinary machine operator at the time. So I had to do away with the racing, which was sadly. But I used to go and watch the races when they have it over there at Cocoa Bridge, not far from here, because I'm interested in it still, but because of my commitments, I haven't had the time and privilege to do my training, you know.
Well, you still, nobody could take away the fact that in the Caribbean you were the
That's
champion.
right,
You were the
yeah.
champion. And in England, it would have worked out if you were able to have the sponsorship.
Sponsor, that's what I didn't have. If I had somebody to sponsor me, you know, because I wouldn't have been getting nothing at all. And what going to keep my children that I dearly love, you know? So I says, well, my job will has to do that, you know.
Well, you made the right decision.
I make the right thing, and I has no regret for all what I've done, you know, even then.
So focusing then, just lastly now, on all that you've achieved over your life, you know, the dedication and focus you gave to cycling and got to the level you got to, come to England and raising family.
Yes.
You know, what would you say to other people following in terms of encouragement?
Well, if you want to get well on top and you get in there, you need to make sure you get some society to sponsor you. You need the backings, you see, because if you don't get the backings to help, because if you're going from A to B, you has to have the backings. Because if you says, well, all right, then you have these that you're going over to France and everything, you got to be in some sort of society where you get the backings to pay your hotel and all these sort of things. So you got to be well organized. Yeah.
So it's important to be connected, and as the saying goes, no man's an island, or no person's an island. We need to be supporting each other.
That's true.
How we can get through in life.
Yeah.
That's great. Wellington or Duke, thank you very much for that. That's really encouraging.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, it's a long way actually, because cycling didn't just come up like that. You see, I started out since I was about 14, right up until I was 18, sorry. And you got to keep at it all the time. Plenty of training. You need plenty of training.
What age was you when you was the champion?
I was about 17, 18, about 18. Yeah. And having, you know, your kids, which you think of, and you have to keep them, you know, nobody to help you. I never had any help from anyone, you know. I ended up had a good job because I was a foreman here, right just behind me here, yeah. And then from there move over up to over to Aldridge, where I worked myself up. And I never thought I would have managed to get where I got, because, no disrespect, I was the only colored man in that position. And to think of it, when I had my interview and everything, you know, the other workers, and then I have no black man, this and all them sort of thing. But that didn't bother me. I keep going. And when the result comes out, I got the job, you know. And I worked myself up over those who was supervisor there. I become the senior from there straight up until I come as a manager there as well, which was good on nights. So I had a good job upbringing, and I did need it. And thankfully my family, my kids, they all step in my shoe as well. They all end up having good jobs and well recognized, all of them. You see, so I was a good footstep for them.
Absolutely. So you're the legacy. You can see the legacy
yes, that's right.
Kids.
Yes.
And the fact that you yourself, as a young man, was quite determined and focused on achieving something that was really difficult to achieve, because you didn't have the backing, you didn't have the bike, you didn't have the resources,
that's right.
But you made the best of the situation with the trucks, going to work, cycling, coming back, training in the evening, training in the morning, real
Training.
determination on your own to
Yes.
achieve a very high
High standard,
a
yeah.
high standard as a champion. But that was something you took with you in your
Yeah.
life to get a good job when you came to
England,
England. Establish
yeah. And
family.
I mean, to follow that as well, I had a good, having a good wife as well. She's been a nurse for 40 odd years, you know. And there's our offspring. See two of them here. Yeah. Yeah. Ah! That's my eldest one. Yeah, yes. Which was good. So I had a good wife, and she helps me along with a lot of things as well. You see, had somebody to fall back on, and we make sure our kids do the same and grow with respect. They have respect, never go out to get in any trouble. Don't have no policeman knocking at my door and anything, say you boy, this and all them. That's one thing I'm very glad of. You see. So, to where I am now, 80 at the age of age, I am proud of myself and proud of my family. They come first, you know, because they grow up with manners and respect. So I'm quite happy.
Wellington, thank you very much for that. There's a lot to take away from that to encourage those
Yeah,
following.
it is, yeah.
That's absolutely great. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Right.